And for me, somatic practices, we talk about connecting with the body, but ultimately we're not really connecting with the body, we're connecting with the earth. That's the weird and strange thing about somatic practices, is the more you connect inside your own body and you get really, really close to how you feel inside, the more you open up to the earth and the space around you, the more you...
Welcome to Inspire Beyond. We're really glad you're here with us today. And as we begin this new year, we wanted to start with a conversation that feels grounding, supportive, and deeply human.
We're exploring something that many of us have never been taught how to do, and that's how to have a kind and trusting relationship with our bodies. And I think this is especially an issue for women. And so we're joined today with someone who lives and breathes this work, and she also personally embodies this as well, Emily Holden. She's a co-creator of Body Sacred Retreats, and her work is devoted to somatic body healing for sensitive and soulful women. So, Emily, welcome. So happy to have you here. Please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Oh, hi, Christine. Hi, Jeff. I'm so happy to be here. And yeah, well, I'm Emily. I live in both the UK and Spain, so I'm based over here in Europe. I'm devoted to somatic healing, and it's taken me a while to work that out. So it's taken... I think in the last maybe few years, I understood exactly what I do in one sentence. And I was so excited because I studied yoga for many years, different kinds of body work, different kinds of therapeutic modalities. But when I came across this term somatic healing, and somatic healing in sacred space as well, because I bring this element of sacred space. So somatic practices for self-healing in sacred space. That's kind of all of it in a nutshell. Somatic just means the body. Soma is the living, breathing body. And the body as we experience the body. So as we breathe, we feel the body. As we touch our skin, we feel the body. As we sit on our chair or on the ground, we feel the body. So our soma is our living, breathing, feeling body. And so somatic practices can be anything from breath, or that includes all the breath work, touch. So we do quite a lot of self-massage on our retreats, because one of the ways that we can know our bodies much more deeply is to touch our own bodies. And that's a real revelation for a lot of women, because a lot of people, I don't know how many people that are listening now were told as kids not to touch their own bodies. So, that's a thing that we come across a lot on our retreats. So breath and touch. And then movement, of course. Like I said, I trained for many years as a yoga teacher, so movement's always been a big part of what I do. But we're finding now with the community that we work with, a lot of our women are 60s, 70s, even into their 80s, and movement's quite challenging for these women. Maybe they can't get up and down off the floor, they feel, or they can't kneel on their knees. Yeah, so the kind of the classic yoga postures that we may have done for many years can become more challenging. So movement's an interesting one, because we do need to keep moving, but I want people moving with ease. I want people pain-free. I want people to have a lovely, comfortable experience of their bodies. Because for me, there's no point preaching and teaching about trusting the body, listening to the body, and being kind to your body, and then teaching a class that's really painful for people. So I'm like, no, that doesn't go together. So for me, movement's a really interesting one, because we want to be able to move. We want to be able to be flowing freely, but we need to work with what people are able to comfortably do. And then sound. Sound is a really interesting one. I have no professional training in singing or music, and yet I find myself in circle with my women, singing, dancing, banging my drum. Again, no drumming training. I'm just going for it, banging the drum, because it feels like what we do, right? This is ancient stuff as well. For me, both me and my mum, Jan, I work with my mum, Jan Holden. We've worked together for over 10 years now, and we're very in sync with what we do. And when we talk about what we're doing, we just explain it very simply. It's the old ways, right? It's the old ways. It's coming together. It's gathering with real humans in real places, on the land together in the UK or in Spain here on the Mediterranean. We sing, we dance, we roll around on the floor if we're able to do that. We breathe, we put lovely smelling oils on our bodies, we hug each other, we cry together, we sit around the fire, we give each other gifts, we chat, we laugh. It's all of what you want from a retreat, really. For me, from a retreat, I want connection. And I want connection that's supportive and that's loving and that's warm and friendly. It just so happens that for me, when women gather, something kind of special and magical happens. And I want men to gather too as well. I'm very excited about the men's circles that my husbands are doing. We were talking a little bit about men's work as well, Jeff, before. So men also need to gather. And I think, again, that's just an ancient thing. In many tribal societies, the women will gather, the men will gather, and the men and women will gather.
If I can just interject here,
Yes.
this male female thing I think is really interesting as far as community. I'd love to explore that more in the future. But also just this idea that men and women, generally speaking, females have certain needs and men have different needs. And that's actually what's happening with Jeff and I. We're kind of splitting our focus, where I'm going to be working more with women and he's going to be working more with men. And I hope that your husband and Jeff can connect in the future, because there's some cool things could come out of that.
Well, Emily, we'd love to hear you share a little about your journey. What first brought you into somatic healing, and how has your relationship with your body changed over time?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. For me, I'd say up until my 20s, more or less, I was on a pretty classic trajectory, going to school, going to university, always very academic. But I want a big shout out to all the cute little fat kids out there, the people who grew up in a little fat body, all of our friends who are currently living in beautiful fat bodies. I just want to say hello and I love you. And for me, that was my reality as a kid. Often overeating, struggling with food, struggling with my weight, the biggest kid in the class, never picked, when it was like time to play netball. We played netball as girls at school. Time to play netball. No one picked me for the team. And I kind of just learned through that experience of being a cute little fat kid in a cute little fat body that the best thing that I could do to get status in the group, because it was very clear from everybody in my group that my fatness was a problem. That was really, really clear. It was just one of those kind of unspoken things, like the elephant in the room, where it's like, oh, Emily, she's big and, the school uniforms don't fit and, the eating's not good, but she's so friendly. She's so nice. She's so jolly. It's like she's all of those lovely things. And she's really academic. She's very bright, gets top marks in school. And so I kind of learned, be the bright one, be the clever one, study really hard, because at least then you won't be bad in all areas. It's like, you're not the pretty one. None of the boys really want to talk to you. You're basically ignored. So anyway, shout out to the lovely friends in their fat bodies, because that's been a big challenge for me in my life, has been eating and food. And I'd say a lot of people in our family, to be honest, and a lot of families nowadays, we still work with so many people where food is the number one issue on the table. It's just trying to work out, what should I be eating in a day? What's wrong with my body? Why can't I just stop eating? I'm going on this diet. It's a crash and burn situation. We know diets don't work, but and round we go. It's like we could talk about our issues. For me, I understood that I grew up in a family where certain things had gone on, certain traumas along the way, certain childhood traumas that then led me to overeating. It's like I kind of understood that. It wasn't that in a cognitive sense, I understood, right, you're eating to protect yourself, you're eating for comfort, you're eating to zone out, to numb out. I think many people relate to this as well. It's like you have an issue. Maybe the issue is you drink a whole bottle of wine after you come home from work. And you're like, I know why I do this. I do this because I'm tired. I do this because I'm stressed. And I do this because I had this difficult relationship and I'm still getting over it. And I've talked to my therapist about this. I've talked to my friends about it. I've talked and talked and talked and talked and talked and talked. But what is actually going to change? And it never really occurred to me until I started working with my yoga teacher, Mark Aquaviva, in my 20s when I was living in Brighton. And that I realized that my body was holding so much. I might understand all of this from a cognitive point of view, understand my issues, understand even the roots of my issues. But from a body point of view, I was basically numb from the neck down. It's like I'd be going to work, chatting all day, doing a great job as in teaching role. I was teaching, 8, 9, 10 hours a day, doing great in my job. Come home exhausted and just want to just zone out, eat, watch TV, and just like, how can I stop? And it felt really addictive. That was the thing that I was kind of most shocked. So anyway, I'm doing my yoga training with my yoga teacher. The interesting thing was, as I started doing the yoga training, sometimes my eating actually in the very beginning got worse because I was feeling all these feelings, doing all this beautiful somatic work. And I'm like, I can't handle this. I need a binge, like this is way too much. So when people say on the healing journey, things sometimes get worse before they get better, I understand that, because if you've spent your whole life living in your head, and I think for me up to that point, within my family and within my culture, British culture is very, very heady. It's like we are very intellectual. We're all about the talking, the stimulation from this point of view. There's a huge culture of emotional suppression as well where I come from. British culture, we don't cry, we don't share our feelings. If anybody has a feeling in the UK, the first thing they do is make a cup of tea. It's like, let's have a cup of tea. Don't cry, don't talk about it, just drink that cup of tea and you'll be fine. And for me as a sensitive person, I wanted more than just a cup of tea. I wanted to understand what was going on. So anyway, long story short, working with my yoga teacher, starting to feel these feelings. And for me, I'd done yoga for many years before this, but yoga in the gym. That's like many of us, I think, have done yoga in the gym. I'm sure there's beautiful yoga teachers in the gym, but it was like exercise yoga. This was feeling yoga. This was feeling the position of your bones yoga. This was feeling your breath yoga. This was releasing tension yoga. Nobody had ever told me that I needed to release tension. Like, when was the first time that people said to you, you need to learn how to release tension? Literally nobody said that to me as a child, as a teenager, as a young woman, like doing all my studying, stressed out about exams. Nobody told me that I should release tension. That to me now seems completely mad. That's really one of the biggest skills that I've learned along this journey, is how do we breathe, stop, pause, breathe, and release tension down into the earth. So yeah, yoga and a more somatic form of yoga, to somatic meditation. And then now I feel, for me, what the thread I'm drawing in a lot now is the sacred space, is working in a boundaried sacred space. Because I've met so many people along the way who feel they want to do the somatic practices, they want to lie down and breathe, they want to feel their bodies, they want to release tension, but they don't feel safe to do so. And for me, when you bring in sacred space, when you bring in a boundary around the space, when you follow certain protocols, it makes the space a lot safer for people to do this important work. Because again, like we mentioned before the call, I'm always surprised when these practices are so simple and so gentle that literally anybody could do them. If you can lie down and breathe, if you can lie down in a reclining chair and breathe, you can do these practices. But stuff does come up. When you work with the body, people might get flashbacks, people might get intrusive thoughts, people start to become more aware of their physical pain that they've numbed out for years and years and years. So you do need some courage, and you do need some boundaries, and you do need some guides and some helpers to be with you on the journey. So for me, it's part of how I keep my community safe. It's part of how I really anchor the work and ground the work in a beautiful, supportive cocoon of strength, of courage, of wisdom that holds them. And that is just simply when we look to the land. You know, you look to the land, you look to the space around you, you look to the beautiful trees. We are held all the time in sacred space, I believe, because we have trees, we have the sky, we have the beautiful clouds. I saw an amazing rainbow this morning. Incredible. So sacred space is all around. It's nothing complicated or woo-woo or difficult. It's more a sense of, have you shut all the doors? Literally, did you shut all the doors? Is anybody going to wander in? Is everybody's phones off? You know, it's like simple things like that. I've been in so many spaces over the years. They weren't boundaried. They weren't protected. They weren't properly kept safe. It's like, we have to claim the space, and there needs to be somebody holding the space at all times, because it's serious work that we're doing somatic healing. It doesn't seem that complicated. It doesn't seem that big of a deal. Oh, we're just breathing. Oh, we're just making some sounds. Oh, we're just rolling around on the floor. What's the big deal? But deep, deep healings happen for people in this space. So you need someone who's going to hold it really, really steady.
Yeah, that's great. So you've mentioned so many amazing things, and we want to chime in on a few of these. First of all, about the body shame, I think it's really important to recognize, and especially for men, because I think men a lot of times don't understand the body shame that so many women carry, you know, because of our culture. And whether you were a beautiful fat kid or not, I've seen skinny women who, you know, had massive body shame. It's something that I've seen and observed and experienced. In my 20s, I really struggled with how I was looking, because the pressure, and especially where you grew up, and I grew up in California, and the pressure to look perfect was very strong. You know, so this body shame is huge. But I wanted to also just talk about this sacred space, because what you're talking about is really important, I think, and this idea of intention as well, calling in, but also that intention. And do you notice how that really has an impact when you're really setting that intention and helping others to do the same, to hold for the space?
Yes, 100%. And our intention, we always have this kind of umbrella intention over all of our retreats, all of our gatherings. It's for you, it's for us to connect deeply with our bodies. That is our grounding intention always. And then we often have more specific intentions depending on the time of year or the theme of the retreat. But for us to connect deeply with our bodies so that we may know what we need to know, because we really believe that the body is wise. And the body shame thing is completely insidious in our culture, in American culture. It's when I look back and I think about the things that I imbibed as a young woman, as a teenager, it's actually quite frightening. And it's actually, I look back and I'm horrified. I have a little girl now, she's 4 years old. And I am very careful of what she sees. And if we see something that's a bit weird, like maybe like a cartoon image of a woman with like a waist that's like this big, I'm like, look at that strange image, Inti. Doesn't she look a bit weird? She hasn't she got a strange body shape, you know? And I understand from a fashion point of view, from a cartoon point of view, they exaggerate certain shapes, you know, to create, I guess, a look, a style. I don't know. But I remember as a teenager buying gossip magazines. You know, it was called Heat magazine in the UK, and they had a literal circle of shame. They had pictures of celebrities, almost always female celebrities, with a red circle highlighting things like their armpit sweat. As you can see, I've got armpit sweat there. Highlighting things like their hair, their normal natural body hair, highlighting things like, you know, pimples, spots, these kinds of things. They would put it in the so-called, literally called the circle of shame. And this is what I would read just as a teenager, buying a cheap magazine at a train station. I look back and I think, how is it that we allowed this? How is it that we think that's normal? I look back and I think this is utter madness. And for me, that period of time of awakening, when I was living in Brighton doing a lot of healing work, so much of it was like a game of neuroplasticity, just changing the pathways of my brain. So I had a very simple mantra I would work with several times a day. It's very simple. It's hello, lovely body. Hello, lovely body. Hello, lovely body. Every time I caught myself in a judgmental thought towards myself, and or a judgmental thought towards somebody else, because they're so quick, these thoughts. I remember just catching myself, for example, just on the bus, right? You're on the bus and you see a woman and you have that little thought, she's dressed inappropriately for her size, for example. I'd have thoughts like that. Many people have thoughts like that. And I'd say, no, hello, lovely body. Hello, lovely body. Hello, lovely body. Just soften myself towards that person that I've just judged. Because people also say this to me all the time. They say, Emily, I understand you are so into all that fat positivity stuff. You are so into, you know, crushing all the body shame. Me too, me too. But for my body, I need to lose weight. They'll say, Emily, all bodies are beautiful. I also really love all those beautiful fat bodies. But for me, not for me, not for me. I gotta lose the weight. And I'm like, oh, honey, you're missing the point. As you judge yourself, you judge others. It's one and the same thing. You cannot judge yourself and not then in turn judge every other body that looks like you, every other person who has a similar challenge to you. So you judge yourself, so you judge others. And for me, it was like a real deep rerouting, rewiring of my brain that took many moments of repetition, several times a day. Hello, lovely body. Hello, lovely body. Hello, lovely body. And now that feels really deeply rooted in me, the way that I experience my own body and other people's bodies. Now it's very uncomplicated. It's very relaxed. It's very simple. I see the sacredness of my body and your body, this knowing your body as sacred ground. I have so many beautiful women of my community who come with so many interesting symptoms. Like insomnia is a really interesting one. Why would you have insomnia? Many different reasons, menopause being number one and hormone shifting. And they try everything. And these women, I bet you have people in your community like this as well. They've Googled it, right? They've got themselves the supplements. They've got the melatonin. They've got the CBD. They're doing the sleep hygiene protocol. They've listened to 400,000 podcasts on the subject. So they are very clued up when it comes to their symptoms and their issues. But again, they're struggling, right? They're still not sleeping well at night. And I talked to this friend the other day about her sleep. I was like, how's it going? You know, post-retreat, we'd been doing some work together. And she said, do you know what, Emily? I think the one thing that's changed for me and why my sleep has suddenly kind of calmed, well, not suddenly, but over the last few weeks of working together has calmed down, because I actually feel friendly towards myself now. I genuinely feel like the work we've done together has made me feel like a better friend. And I just feel kinder towards myself. And that for her was the real root of it. And she can rest and she can sleep and she can relax at night because she has her own back, because she really is her own friend. And that work takes time. It's not like a quick fix to these things. But if you really do work in sacred space to know your body as sacred ground, and also, again, this intention thing, coming back to the intention, if your intention is to know and listen and to feel the wisdom of your own body, and you say, right, I'm going to get out of the way now. I'm going to stop controlling you, stop pushing you around, stop criticizing you like some kind of berating overlord. I'm going to stop that and just let you be. The body will send up all kinds of interesting information for us to then work with and all kinds of beautiful insights for us to work with. But the body that's being constantly pushed around and criticized is not going to give us anything.
we work with people who have sleep issues, and 9 times out of 10, yes, hormone issues, but also
Mm,
the nervous system is
mm,
something that's just a big thing. If you're living in stress throughout the day and you're, kind of tense with your body, it's going to be harder to really sleep well. But I
mm,
had never thought about what you just said, that
mm,
just
mm,
actually having that loving relationship with your body,
mm,
because when you're sleeping, you're in partnership with your body. Your body needs to go to sleep too. And so
mm,
if it's feeling threatened or in survival mode or judged,
mm.
that's an interesting perspective on how
And we
that
need
can
to
affect.
let go, and
Yes.
it's so
Yep.
interesting. And I've had many people also say to me, Emily, I can't do this breath work thing, right? They told me that to sleep, I need to breathe in for 6 or 7 or whatever and breathe out for 10. That's what they told me. Okay. I don't count breaths. I don't impose a structure or rhythm on your breath. I understand that it's a good idea to lengthen the breath. And I would encourage people at bedtime. I do it myself. My mind is racing, can't get to sleep. I lengthen the breath. I breathe into the sides of my body. I breathe into the back of my body. I get a bit of space. Yeah.
Mhm.
And maybe I'm noticing, oh, okay, I'm going to lengthen that out breath a little bit. I'm going to get a fine thread of breath and just lengthen the out breath a little bit. But there are ways to do it. It's like the mechanical way that to me feels quite masculine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and out. 2, 3. This is something so much more subtle and soft and gradual. The body reveals herself, and the breath also reveals itself layer by layer by layer. So the breath you take as you first start to work with the breath is not the same breath that you will take after 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes of working with the breath. You can gradually extend those breaths. So I've also had so many people say that they feel kind of claustrophobic when they try and do things like box breath, breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. These kinds of things can feel quite dominating and almost quite claustrophobic. And so I try and get people moving and breathing in ways that feel more natural, more spontaneous, more
Mm.
gradual, more exploratory. So we're not boxing ourselves in. What if you just breathe? This is a practice that I come home to again and again and again that I learned with Reggie Ray. Breathe in to feel, breathe out to release tension through points of contact into the earth. So simple.
Mm.
You take that practice with you anywhere you go. Breathe in to feel the inside of your body. Breathe out to release tension through points of contact into the earth. You can do that practice for the rest of your life. You'll be good. Okay, now we're
That's
talking.
amazing. Emily, okay, so we've been talking a lot about breath, which is so
Mm,
powerful. How about some of the other touch points
mm.
somatically? Can you maybe give us some examples that could help, our viewers on working with those as well?
Yes, well, I would say if we're going back to sleep, right? So the person is struggling to sleep, and we've said, okay, let's do a bit of gentle breath work. Let's lengthen the breath. Let's open up the space. What do people find when they try and work with their breath? That their diaphragm feels quite stuck, right? Because obviously you've got the lungs, your beautiful lungs, and then underneath your lungs, you've got this beautiful bouncy diaphragm that goes down as we breathe in and then bounces back up towards the floor of the heart as we breathe out. And so the next thing I get people doing is noticing that they, bless them, they can't really breathe that well. So I get them massaging their bellies. And I would say if you take
Oh,
another practice with you today, it's belly massage. And this for
wow.
women, you think about our lovely womb space, our digestive space, for men too. Think about how soft all of that space is. We've got beautiful digestive system here. We've got the intestines all squidgy and soft, the large intestine around the outside. We've got the stomach, the bag of the stomach. We've got the liver, everything squidgy and soft. And things get stuck, right? Who of us here felt kind of uncomfortable after Christmas or after the holidays of like, oh, I've been, eating quite a lot of heavy stuff. Who of us have got gallbladder issues and feeling like a bit of pain around the gallbladder, things like that? So digestive stuff is huge for people. And this is a practice that we've kind of forgotten. I really deeply believe that years ago, generations back, we would have known the herbs that we needed for digestion, the oils that we needed for digestion. If you look at some of the beautiful indigenous traditions from South America, they have specific abdominal massage protocols. You have certain like Mayan abdominal massage, as it's called. These are ancient practices. There's nothing new about this. But again, I had never massaged my own belly until I was easily the age of 30, 32, I don't know. And you think, why would I have never massaged my belly? I have a belly, right? But again, going back to the body shame, if you don't like your belly, if you've been told for your whole life that it shouldn't stick out, it should be concave. What is that about? Why should our bellies be concave as if there's nothing in there? Like it should be an empty hole. It should be hard. Why would bellies be hard? If you've ever pressed a beautiful little baby's tummy, when they're relaxed and they haven't got colic, they're nice and soft, right? So I would get people working with touch. If you can move through that barrier of the body shame, if you can address that, come back to your body. Hello, lovely body. I'm with you, lovely body. Start from the belly button. Get some oil in your belly button. So many of us are chronically underhydrated. And hydration isn't just about drinking loads of water. This is something I learned with Liz Koch, Koch. She's an amazing teacher. She has a beautiful book called Stalking Wild Psoas, all about the psoas, which is the muscle that goes down. It's kind of like a set sort of sail type shape that goes down either side of the spine. She talks about how we want our tissues nice and hydrated, like juicy cucumbers, that feeling. And you think, well, I'm drinking loads of water. I'm just drinking loads of water. Why am I not hydrated? Because we haven't done those hydrating movements. And she talks about the kind of slow, undulating, soft, spiraling movements that we can naturally do. We do loads of those on retreat. It's like slow, soft, spiraling, rounded movements that get all the juices going. Back to the breath, nice squeezy out breath. You add a gorgeous belly massage to that. Your tissues are going to be so nice and supple and hydrated that when you drink the water, yeah, you might pee some out, but you're not just going to be drinking and peeing, drinking and peeing. You're actually going to feel hydrated. And then that beautiful diaphragm is going to move up and down through the space, nice and easy. And you're actually going to be able to take a meaningfully deep breath, maybe for the first time in the last 10 years or something. It's like, oh, now my diaphragm can move. I've massaged my body with beautiful oils. I've got comfortable with my belly and got over that body shame. My diaphragm's moving beautifully. Now I can relax. So self-touch is really, really key. Getting people to touch their own bodies. Because again, when you're kind of numb from the neck down and you live in your head so much, using the hands to actually touch the body helps you to understand, this is where I actually live. This is where my leg actually is. I have an idea of my leg in my mind, but my actual genuine physical leg is here, and I can touch it and feel the bone and feel the squishy texture of the flesh here, of the muscle, of the subcutaneous fat. I can feel that. I can feel if it's sore. I can feel if it's comfortable. I can feel if there's like a hard nugget of something in there that maybe needs to be released. I can feel if it's crunchy or if it's smooth. We can feel all of those things with our hands. We can feel temperature, texture, sensation, like I was saying, soreness, comfort, discomfort. We can feel so much, but we've got to wake up these lovely hands to do it. And the best person to feel your body is you. I really, really do believe that, because as much as some wonderful healer might come in and say, look, Christine, looking at your body, feeling your body, I can tell you X, Y, Z about your body. The only person who can feel the inside of your own body is you. That's your body, right? This is my body. So I'm absolutely the best person to work with my own body. So I really want people to feel empowered about touching their own bodies, because what you discover when you first do a belly massage, you think, if you're sitting here now and you think, yeah, my belly feels all right, it's okay. Just going to touch it a little bit on the surface level. If you spent the next 20 minutes massaging your belly, you'd be like, oh my God, wow, that's really tight. Ooh, that really hurts. Ooh. I do my massage and I'm like, ooh, because you, again, layer by layer by layer by layer, you work down the layers and you realize there's so much undigested material there. And who of us holds our emotions in our bellies? Chinese medicine wisdom, the belly being the seat of the emotion. For me, it's no rocket science to understand why I was an overeater for so many years of my life. I'm trying to just like shove it all down, and there it sits in my sweet belly, trying to process it. And I didn't want to feel it.
Yeah.
So now if I can do a belly massage every couple of days, I've got my dad doing belly massage, I've got my friends doing belly massage. One of the first things I do, if I have friends come to my house and they're like, Emily, I don't know, I just feel a bit sad, I'll be like, get on the floor now. You're doing a belly massage for yourself.
I love this. Have you ever heard of a belly massage before?
No, I'm anxious
Yeah, we're gonna
to do this
that.
and
Do it. Lie in bed, put the oil in there, and just, it's so beautiful.
What's so amazing is like I love getting massages. No one ever massages your belly.
Isn't that
You do the shoulders, the head, the face, the legs, everything else, but never the belly. And I've never heard of a belly massage in my entire life. So this is awesome.
Yeah. And when I've talked to massage therapists, because my husband is a qualified massage therapist and he does offer belly massage. He always says to people now, because he offers massage on our retreats, would you like me to massage your belly? How many women say no? Or maybe, again, massage therapists have said to me, I don't offer the belly massage because I don't want women to feel uncomfortable, because they understand that we have this deep, deep shame around this area that's become normalized, that nobody would ever even touch that area. If we didn't hold a deep shame in that area, they'd just be like the shoulders or the head or the feet
Right.
or anywhere else, wouldn't it? Be like, oh, well, of
Right.
course, we're doing the full body massage. We'll do the whole body, right?
Yeah.
Why don't we massage that space? Because of the deep, deep shame around the space. When we think about what is digestion, right? Digestion is peristalsis, which is squeeze, right? Squeeze, let go, squeeze, let go. If there's anywhere in the body that needs massage, that needs the support for those tissues to move, it's the digestive system, right? It's like how, again, when we think about all the stuckness that happens, things like gallstones, all that sort of stuff, it's stuckness, stagnation. And again, more Chinese medicine wisdom, bow down to them. Stagnation is the root of all disease. That's the saying in Chinese medicine.
Right.
And so if you can move and get the flow going, it's a very liquid space. Think about
Yeah.
bone. It's quite hard to get bone moving. You know, it's like you poking on a bone.
Yeah.
Probably it's going to, obviously it's going to swing, it's going to rotate, but juicy belly tissue, you can move so much. And the organs, sometimes they don't quite sit right. That's a really interesting one to work with, is realizing that because everything in the belly space is so liquid and so kind of movable, we can get pain and discomfort sometimes because the womb space, the digestive space, it's not quite sitting right. And then you realize and you're like, oh, that feels so much better. The space loves to be compressed. In my experience, pressing things back towards the spine can feel very relieving. You get any sort of bloating, any kind of like distended hard belly, get the oils on the belly. Start slowly, start gently. Don't push it, don't force it. Again, like with the breath, don't push or force anything. Go with the sensation, back off if you need to. But things can really move. It's quite fascinating to me. It's like, things can really settle in a whole new position. And suddenly you're carrying yourself in a whole new way. And you're having a wonderful digestive experience when you go to the loo later. You're like, amazing.
How about the other two?
So breath,
Sound.
touch, movement, and sound.
Okay,
So
sound.
sound. So if we go to sound, for me, what I love about sound is that sound, there are no ugly sounds and no beautiful sounds. Sound is just an expression. It's a pure expression. Because again, like we've learned to judge our bellies, we've also learned to judge our sounds and our voices. And again, ancestrally, when we think about the kind of primitive and primal sounds we were making, we think about the Irish tradition and the banshee being like the wailing woman or the keening woman. What do we want to do when someone's died? We're so sad. We want to wail, we want to scream. And this was literally a woman in the village. That was her role. She'd be paid. You know, she's a really good banshee. She's a really good keener. She's a really good wailer. She's going to let it all out. You know, she's going to summon that power of the big breath. Because again, the sound sits on your breath. If you don't have a mighty breath, you will not have a mighty sound. Yeah. And if you don't have a mighty sound, I kind of believe that you don't really know your true power. This is a lot of this I learned with an amazing teacher called Clara Davar, who's an Argentinian teacher who teaches in Spanish. And her whole methodology is called the voice of the womb. And she does these beautiful courses where she focuses on the voice and the throat. She's a professionally trained singer, which I definitely am not. She focuses on the womb itself, like the uterus inside, and then the pelvic bowl, kind of the bony pelvic bowl, and connecting the three together, the inner womb, the pelvic bowl, and the throat, and really releasing your true power, your true strength. Because as many people I'm sure have seen on Instagram, on Facebook, you get these memes, don't you, of like the picture of the vocal cords and then the picture down here of the womb space and the pelvic floor and how they mirror each other. So many structures in the body mirror each other because, of course, we're part of this amazing, beautiful cosmic design where we're spirals and we're beautiful rounded shapes. But the vocal cords and down here, the womb space and the whole kind of pelvic uterus system, they look very, very similar. And for me, if I want a woman to know her true power, one, I want to get her breathing a mighty breath. So I'm going to get her to breathe. I'm going to get her to massage her belly so she's got some space. Okay, we've got some more space. Then I'm going to get her to make some sounds. And when we make sounds, we kind of lose our inhibitions a little bit, especially if we're working together. We just start toning. Toning, I say, is a huge practice that now we rely on. Even before we sing, we don't need to worry about singing specific words or doing specific chants. We just start toning, ahhing, umming, erring. And what's really fun is it becomes kind of spontaneous. You get a bit of drum going and we start to sound like we're back in the caves. What was the original instrument back in the cave? Maybe we had drums, but even before we had drums, we just had our bodies. Just these kinds of, very primal, very primitive sorts of sounds. But they're very satisfying and they're very evocative from an emotional point of view. And if somebody wants to really feel their sadness or feel their anger or feel their delight and their joy, there will be a sound for that. There just will be. And maybe it might not be the same sound for everybody, but if we don't express it, we don't get it out. It's like it stays inside, right? And the beautiful thing about sound is we're projecting that vibration out into the cosmos. We're touching the space around us. We're claiming the whole space with our voice and with our vibration. And the space can feel us, if you're working inside, you're working outside, the trees can feel that, the birds can feel that. All of the space feels your vibration. It's a way to know your primal power.
For those feeling really drawn to this work, let's talk about your retreats a little bit and what makes Body Sacred Retreats different from other healing spaces.
Yeah, thank you. Well, for me, I guess it's just me and my mum Jan. I think if you like me and I love my mum Jan, then you come for us and you come to be held by us. For me, the fact that it's a very warm and gentle and welcoming space, that's important to me. I've been on so many retreats and workshops, and I wonder, does the facilitator even know my name? Did they if I wanted a hug, did they give me a hug? These seems really simple, basic things, but every client, I get to know my clients really very deeply. They become like a family to us. We're like this beautiful family of community. We work mostly in the east of England, so that's where most of our people are based. That's where my family live and have lived for a long time. So we gather there with the Celtic Wheel of the Year to understand how the seasons change, how the energies shift throughout the year. And for me, somatic practices, we talk about connecting with the body, but ultimately, we're not really connecting with the body, we're connecting with the earth. That's the weird and strange thing about somatic practices is the more you connect inside your own body and you get really, really close to how you feel inside, the more you open up to the earth and the space around you, the more you want to spend time in nature. You want to be with trees, you want to be with the sea, you want to be at the lake, you want to be at the river. That all just becomes very magnetic because you want to be held in that natural space. And so for me, spending a lot of time outside in nature, realizing that, okay, it's wintertime now, it's a different energy. Oh, it's springtime, different energy. Oh, it's summertime, different energy. So for us, our retreats are very aligned with the energy of the time and of the place. If you popped me somewhere else, I don't know, in Bali or in Colorado, it wouldn't be the same retreat for me. It would need to be a retreat that's anchored in the place and anchored in that time and anchored in the community that actually lives there. So for me, as much as I would love to say, oh, I'm whizzing around doing international retreats all over the place, for me, the community is very important. And our beautiful little community in the east of England, they're women who are sensitive, they're women who are soulful, they're women who are spiritually curious. They want to work with each other and they want to be in sacred space together. They want the respect and the reverence that comes with sacred space. Because so many of these women have not been respected or revered in their life. And I want to show these women deep respect, deep listening, and to help them to understand that their bodies actually are beautiful, powerful bodies. And I want to bow down to these bodies. I want to show these bodies really deep reverence. This is how we are meant to be with each other in sacred space. Music has become super important to me the more I work with people because I want people to get into a rhythm and a flow that can hold them. And I'm very inspired by various different musicians. I have to mention Olivia Fern, if you haven't heard of her, incredibly beautiful artist and soulful singer from the north of England, does beautiful chants and beautiful music for sacred space and bringing in more Proto-Celtic, which I really love because, again, for many years having chanted in Sanskrit and loving the Hindu traditions and the Tibetan traditions, I can also say very comfortably, that's not my land, that's not my people. I've never been to India and I've never been to Tibet, but I do have Celtic ancestry and I do come from England and my ancestors come from England and Scotland and Ireland and, basically the north of Europe. So Celtic ancestry is definitely mine to claim. And I want to chant the sacred names of the trees in Proto-Celtic. So that's what we do. Things like that I feel really excited about because it's like this ancient memory where you're like, oh, yes, the pines, the oak trees, this is my land, this is my space, and I can speak to you in your ancient name that my ancestors would have used thousands of years ago, and this feels exciting to me.
Emily, thank you so much for being with us today. I mean, you are
Thank you.
a wealth of knowledge and even going beyond the body and realizing how connected we are to the land, to Mother Earth. And that's just as equally important. But I love so many of the perspectives that you shared today. And I think we're going to really bless our audience with you just being here with us today.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. And again, we'll have everything in the show notes. And you have anything else to say?
just that it's been an amazing experience to hear you speak with such compassion about what you do. Just everything that revolves around your retreats is just, it's very, very inviting. I
Mm.
feel like I want to go to the Mediterranean. I want to
Come,
experience
come.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, we got to plan
Oh,
a
You are
trip.
definitely. Yeah.
so welcome. I have to give a shout out to beautiful Altafulla, which is the little seaside village where I live. So we are about an hour or so south of Barcelona in Catalonia on the
Okay.
Golden Coast, as it's known, the Costa Daurada. And we live in this sweet, sleepy little village called Altafulla. And it's kind of these golden sandstone castles, both on the top of the hill and
Nice.
at the end of the beach. Yeah, there's something very magical about the Mediterranean Sea. I've been here now for about 5 years. And I'm just so grateful that my path managed to bring me here because it was a bit of a surprise. We weren't planning to move here particularly. We just sort of found it along the way. And then I was like, yes, this is the one. This is it. And we love receiving people here for our retreats here because, like I said, the Mediterranean, she does so much of the deep healing work just by being herself. Yeah, Mediterranea, she's so beautiful. And you are so welcome anytime to come and discover
Thank
Okay.
you.
Altafulla because would love to have you here because it's a lot of fun.
Well, that's awesome. We just want to say thank you so much, Emily, for just being who
Thank
you
you.
are
Mm.
and giving us this time and giving of yourself to us because I feel that. I mean, this is really what
Oh,
it's about. So we just want to thank you. For anybody who is interested, please look at the show notes and look how you can look up Emily and her retreats.
I have loads of information on
Okay.
bodysacredretreats.com. Get yourself some oil. Any oil will do, but obviously an oil that's safe for consumption. Don't put anything on your body that you can't eat, generally, people. I'm sure you
Okay.
know this, but your coconut oil, your almond oil, your jojoba oil, and then you can infuse it with some lovely essential oils if you're confident and comfortable using those. Get that in your belly button. Let's go. Rub, 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 rub. Let's
Let's
massage our
go.
bellies. So,
Let's do this.
Love it. Thanks again. Bye bye. Big
Bye,
love.
thank
Emily. Thank
you.
you.
Lots